decide which poem you want to read.
What do you mean?
Well, I don't know. Did you write more?
No.
Okay, so just the one you sent me. Great. Okay.
Did I write more poetry? Are you kidding
the last
me?
time we talked, you had 2 in the bank.
I know. I was trying to be an adult, and then I remembered who I am.
Rhyme or free, it doesn't matter to me. It's my bad poetry. Good day, and welcome to My Bad Poetry, a podcast where we take a deep dive into our poems from youth, yesteryear, or even yesterday. Always asking the question, why in the world did I write this? I'm Aaron.
And I'm Dave.
And together this week, we are looking at a poem from the 3rd anthology of my high school collection, Analogy of Life. Dave, as always, sorry in advance.
No thanks.
Yeah.
No, I reject your apology.
That's fair. That's totally worth it. But you get to grace us with words from your pen before anything that I've written. So
By
what do you
pen
got?
you mean Google Doc, right?
Oh, you type on Google Doc? That's your
Yeah, of course.
That's your medium?
I write my poetry on my phone. Again, it's all about the medium. That's the McLuhan thing again.
Yeah,
right?
it is. Yeah.
Yeah. The medium is the message is the medium. The Scooby-Doo. Sure.
But so what you're saying is as we deep dive into your poems and analyze them with that critical eye that we bring each and every week, we need to always ask the question, how is the phone influencing the writing of this material?
Well, the phone does tell me when I spell words wrong.
That's very helpful.
That is very helpful.
I think a Wolf journal would look a lot cleaner if it had spell check. Okay, Dave, what do you got?
Okay. So this is a poem called Orange Door Hinge. Old poetry rhymes are done. They are strange enough, none. Writers, a decent rhyme you owe. That's the least that you can do. Just use the prettiest word. It is not that hard, my lord. Please, all of my love. May you still your skills prove.
This is the 3rd in your collection of must be read alouds.
Right?
Yeah, I like this exploration that you've been doing here.
Did you like the orange door hinge though?
I did. What is it?
Because you could make them rhyme.
Yeah.
I think I've heard it on QI.
Okay, yeah. I think I mean it's out there, but it's one of those funny things where it's like orange and purple don't have rhymes, and it's like, well, you got
purple is kerple,
nurple.
the line that goes underneath of a horse's tail on a saddle. That's a kerple. Month, also one that apparently doesn't have a rhyme, but month.
Huh.
But in Sikhism, one of their religious texts is the Guru Granth.
Oh, that's pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, here's your next challenge, Dave. you gotta create a poem with the unrhymable words.
Okay. I know that there is a...
Is there already one that exists out there? I'm sure
there is.
I'm sure someone's played
But I know purple was rhymed in a... Robert Burns. He rhymed kerple and purple.
Okay. One thing I wanted to say about your poem is that one feels both as a must be read aloud along with a must be read. It's almost like it has to happen in tandem.
That's why I think it's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's like a required reading as the poet reads it.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that dynamic because for those who are just listening, you don't get the jokes of how these words look similar or technically the vowels could be in the English language could be morphed into the vowel that you need it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fun.
You're welcome.
Honestly, it's really Clever, Dave.
I'm actually a talented poet, so let's dive into your garbage.
Ooh, good transition.
You're welcome.
Maybe
Not only did I transition, but I hurt your feelings.
a Dave specialty.
Yeah.
So, the poem that I bring to us today, I kind of set us up the previous poem on this is a darker subject, so the content warning. Yeah, way to hit you out of left field today, Dave.
Right?
We mentally prepared for something else. We're recording this maybe for a banked episode, so it's going to come out maybe 2 weeks. I don't know, but we're diving head first, and Dave is not prepared, nor am I.
This is how you know we're professionals.
Yes. So, content warning up front. This poem does get into subjects around like suicidal ideation, and so we're gonna have to talk about it, and we'll do our best, folks. So here we go. This poem is called Letters. Okay.
No.
I will justify this title. I think it's
Okay.
Once I tell you what it means, you'll probably roll your eyes. But here we go.
Probably.
You will roll your eyes.
Yeah.
So, a poem titled Letters. Save me from this unknown feeling in which I feel. Crazed emotion inside. Do you know how to save me? Everything seems wrong. Okay.
That's it?
That's it.
That's it. Aaron,
Yes.
I will try to fix you.
Good old Coldplay
No?
there. Coldplay. I gotcha. Yeah. So right up front, no is spelled wrong. It's the wrong no.
What? How is it the wrong no?
Well, Dave, there is the N-O of
Yep.
no, and then
Yep.
there's the K-N-O-W.
Those are different words, Aaron.
Yes, but you know they sound the same. There's a phrase called there's a term. It's called a homophone.
Nope, I disagree.
It's
Never heard of that
It
before.
comes from the Greek, which means same sound.
I feel like I would have heard of that before.
Homophone,
No.
ET. Anyway, the know there should be the know-how, like the knowledge-based know. And my flying fingers on the keyboard just typed NO and went on blazing this fire. Okay, so did you get where the title comes from?
Yeah. You are a bad person.
Would you say that? Okay.
No, that's just, I mean, again, there are oblique references, there are things that arc towards subtlety, and then there's you with a sledgehammer trying to pound in a half-inch pin nail.
Yes. So describe to our listeners why Letters is such a smack in the face.
You wrote an acrostic poem
Yep.
because reasons, and it spells out suicide.
Yes. So again, the content warning up front is pretty
Yes.
blatant, but the Letters itself is like, in case you missed it, folks, you should be paying attention to the letters of this poem. The funny thing is, most acrostics, when you look at them on the page, they go straight down. I still set this centered when I originally typed it. So maybe that's where I felt the need to title it Letters, is like, oh, this isn't as apparent as it should be, rather than set it as a straight block. It was still centered and broken.
So you were, and huge air quotes on this, creative enough to write an acrostic poem, but not creative enough to realize that you could line up the letters.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Yep.
Yep. You cringed and laughed before you have a thought. I see you have a thought here, but you
Yeah.
cringed and laughed when I said crazed emotion.
Yeah. Well, I think I cringed, laughed, and then thought, not at crazed emotion, but at in which I feel.
Oh, okay, okay. Unknown feeling in which I feel.
Yeah, like, again, there's a way that humans say that, which is, the feeling that I have. Like, you don't feel inside of a feeling.
Oh, okay, okay.
But I also kind of like it for that reason, that it's taking outside of like human experience. It feels more disjointed or disconnected, kind of that crazed emotion, like
Hmm.
actually not understanding how to phrase it.
Yeah, it's almost as if I'm struggling to find the right words of this unknown feeling in
That
it.
is the definition of all of your poetry.
Hmm. Good point.
You struggling to find the right words.
Now, I love how you talked yourself into kind of liking that clunky phrase
Yeah.
in which I feel. It does feel like I'm forcing it to feel poetic. Like
Yeah.
this is a high schooler trying to sound poetic by flipping the language a bit.
No.
Looking at it with the idea that it's trying to be an acrostic, I could have just said unknown feeling I'm feeling, and I
Right.
still would have had the I at the beginning there. But, I probably didn't even think about that. So I went with in which I feel.
You could also, not repeat the same word. So like in which I dwell, or
Ooh, yeah, Dave.
like going in like the I live in this feeling, I exist in
Yes.
it, I am it, rather than a
Yes.
feeling that you feel.
That made this poem 100% better. Save me
You're
from this
welcome.
unknown feeling in which I dwell. Crazed emotion inside.
It's almost like if you have any other person read your poetry, or if you yourself edit your own poetry,
You know,
you can make improvements to it.
you keep barking up this tree of like,
Right?
but I've already just admitted to my previous self this is not worth editing. It's like you have this like grand ambition that I'm going to come back to these poems, Dave, and fix them up into something. I, I'm not a troll. This is not a fixer upper.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. He's a bit of a fixer-upper. All you need is dynamite and glue.
Hmm?
Blow up the poetry and glue it back together, because it just... I want to make fun of you for the fact that you used the wrong no, because again, someone who actually knows things about poetry could have done something interesting with that.
Oh, oh, like putting, ooh, you could do like a K and then a hyphen
Yep.
or a bracket or, and then
Yeah.
no, and then a bracket and the W. So it's like, do
W.
you know how to save me? And the answer is within the
No.
question. Oh, Dave. Yeah.
Again, that's still terrible, because it's still very middle school, piney, whatever. But it's better.
Well, if we change feel to dwell and then we add the double no,
Yep.
I actually am starting to kind of like this poem.
See, and that's where we differ, because I
Okay.
feel like originally this was like a 10 out of 100, and making those changes makes it like a 15 out of 100, which is still
Still
very,
unlikely.
very bad.
I hear you. Okay. Well, so we changed the title as well, so it's not as in your
Yep.
face.
Yep.
And then we're up to a 20.
18.3, but yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
What title are you changing it to? Knowing you and your subtlety, you're going to name it acrostic, aren't you?
No, Dave.
Oh, okay.
Give me a second to think of something else.
Since you stole my clearly genius answer.
Yeah. How about
I was going to go maybe ESW.
ESW?
So it's
Especially?
everything seems wrong.
Oh, ESW.
So then
I
it's
was thinking ESP. Okay, ESW.
I mean, I do have a certain level of intuition. I've got that ESPN.
Okay, so ESW. Oh, so you're taking the first three letters of the last line, and
Yeah.
and then it's pointing out maybe something is happening with the first
Yeah.
letters of the words. Dave, you're like knocking it out of the park.
I mean, it only took me 60 episodes to have an idea.
No, you're actually like creating a good poem out of this. Or
You
again,
keep saying good.
okay, a passable poem out of this.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
okay.
accept that.
Okay, passable. Yeah. So that means it has to be at least 61 out of 100.
We're creating a passable poem. We are
Okay.
not at 61 yet.
58.
Also, if you've met me, you know that my level of passing is like an 85.
Pretentious.
Oh no, I fully recognize that I am that kind of jerk.
No, yeah, I was in that exact same mentality in high school, but that's
Overachievers.
okay. So let's actually get into the context of this poem that we've been
Sure.
dancing around because let's be fair, it's a little darker than not either of us really want to do with our comedy make fun of Aaron podcast.
Yeah.
In high school, as I mentioned last week, and what you perfectly or brought to our attention was the oh gosh.
This
The,
word, buddy.
the fettuccine Alfredo of
The
the
fettuccine Alfredo.
the fetishization
Fetishization.
of mental illness
Mm-hmm.
and kind of the brokenness was and frankly still is pretty prevalent within teen culture.
Yeah.
And so that was at the forefront of my mind. I had mentioned my family has a history of diagnosable depression. And there were, I never this was never a topic that was talked about within that context. It was not named and I still to this day do not know if that was even in the realm of thought with anyone within my household. But I still think at that time, I was fascinated with the concept of suicide or death by suicide. And to say I was suicidal would be a lie. I don't think I ever was at that point. But it was something that I took a literally a morbid issue with it. And so I actually made a playlist once of just songs that mentioned suicide, like "Slow Suicide" by Jamison Parker, "Faking My Own Suicide" by Matthew Thiessen and the Earthquakes, "Suicide Nation" was that it by House of Heroes? They had one. And like, so those ones were blatant, but then there was like AFI's Miss Murder, which references like Take My Life, which was in there. Anyway, yeah, no, there was
a whole list.
It was a running theme in the music I listened to.
Right.
So that's all I got for us today. So we're gonna end this week.
Yeah, on that joyful note.
Yeah. I'm curious about the House of Heroes. I'm going to look that up while you collect yourself, Dave.
Well, I vamp.
Yeah.
No.
You vamped with that before. Suicide Baby is the House of Heroes song. Do you know House of Heroes?
Not one I know. No.
Oh, they were another Christian rock band out of Ohio.
That's why I don't. That's just weird that you would know bands from Ohio. Being
Christian rock bands out of Ohio. There's Reliant K. There's Sanctus Real.
Never heard of them.
There's House of Heroes.
Never heard of them.
And they were like my top 3 favorite bands for a while, coincidentally.
Well, very coincidentally, growing up in Newfoundland.
Oh my gosh. You're not even trying to pick places that sound like Ohio anymore.
Nope. I've completely given up on the joke. I am just being dumb.
I like it.
Yeah, I think you make a good point about how that was an issue while we were teenagers, but it still is an issue these days. I'm sure it was an issue before we were teenagers, and it will be an issue for a long, long time after.
Yes, we know it was an issue because of Werther. Oh, what was his name? Werther.
I have no idea what you're talking about. All I can think of is Werther Originals.
No, that's what Google gave me. The first thing I typed.
Yeah, of course it did.
The German piney dude is an 18th century book. He dies by suicide at the end of the novel as like some romantic gesture.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah, and it was thought to have created. It was like a banned book because it was thought to have created a plight of death by suicides when it was published. So even back then, why? What is this title? They reference it in 500 Days of Summer.
That doesn't help me at all.
No, it doesn't. Okay, German. This is gonna be the weirdest Google German suicide romance book.
Okay, Google. What book is Aaron talking about? Because he is broken.
I got it. The Sorrows of Young Werther. It's an epistolary novel by Goethe.
Oh, I do like Goethe.
Yeah.
Google gave me an answer, and it's from Leviticus 11.
Oh, because Aaron the
That's
priest.
referencing Aaron the priest.
That's amazing. No, you don't know the Sorrows of Young Werther?
No, I've never heard of that before.
Wow. No, but that's exactly what you. So it was 1774. It was one of the main novels of the Storm and Drawn period in German literature.
Oh, yeah. My favorite period of German literature.
Okay, well, it's our poetry fans would know this. I think. Okay. But anyway, but I think you make a good point. Is that we can pinpoint the references within our growing up and those teen years that had this ideation, but it's not new. And it doesn't seem like it's going away. I mean, we referenced it and I cut it, but 13 Reasons Why has this exact same issue at play in which there is this backlash to it in that it in some strange way romanticized death by suicide.
Yeah.
And so
in the same way that Shakespeare did for Romeo and Juliet, in the same way that it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. Yeah. It's a strange bedfellow of art.
I wonder. This is not a question that we can answer.
Okay.
But I wonder about the context of European, or
Western,
again, big air quotes, Western. Because I don't know a lot of Asian stories that would have the same context or the same content. But I would assume that there would be some, because I think it's kind of a fairly universal thing, but I don't actually want to say that I know that because I don't.
Yeah, at the risk of being extremely culturally insensitive. I mean, the noble suicide of samurais, was that a thing?
But apparently that wasn't actually, that was an invention of stories, which actually kind of goes to prove that point. That it was invented. It didn't actually happen, but it was invented to again fetishize it. Yeah.
Fetishize it. Yeah, I think that's a better phrase than romanticize. I mean, I think it's getting at the same thing. But I think so yeah, the fetishization, the fettuccine of these mental health issues and ideations has been prevalent, is prevalent, will maybe always be, and that's again an interesting thing to think about, is why do we continually as a society come back to this notion? And trying to sympathize with my high school self, I think it is a trying to understand a very, very sad and devastating aspect of human life.
Right.
And so to romanticize it in art is a way of, okay, I mean, this is very much armchair or in your
time machine, because it's looking back at yourself.
Yeah, so time machine sofa therapy here. By romanticizing it, it's a way of destigmatizing, of talking about it when it's so often never talked about.
That's fair.
It's family secrets. It's the oh, someone died suddenly in their 30s and the obituary doesn't mention a thing.
Right.
it's the glaring secret that society cannot avoid. And
Yeah.
so one of the ways it comes out sideways, and again, this is just me spitballing, but one of the ways it comes out sideways is this strange fascination with it.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that kind of hits the nail on the head there.
Again, we referenced this last time we talked about mental health. 988 is a
Mm-hmm.
national number you can text if you are, or you or someone you know are dealing with this now or something similar. No one is alone, as and that's such a cliche thing to say.
But it is true. It's a cliche because it's true.
Yeah, and like high school Aaron wrote this poem for a reason. I It was something on my mind. It's something that might cross your mind as well, and rather than be embarrassed by it or feel shamed by it, talk about it to
There are
someone.
a lot of people who would love to talk to you and show you just how important they are to you.
Yeah.
You are to them. Yeah.
Yeah. So, we need a poem to get us out of this.
We need something else too, Aaron.
Oh,
Are we
well,
out of practice?
Dave, you knew how to save me from this
Hmm.
ending. So I hope you also know the answer to this fine question: good or garbage?
Well, I feel like the only way to address the question this week is, again, numerically, as we have been correcting your poem. So I think originally I gave it a 10 out of 100,
Mm-hmm.
um, which which feels apt. And we made some improvements, and by improvements I mean we attempted to make it okay. But at the end of the day, I would say we took it from a 10 to right about a 10.
Oh, oh, oh,
Yeah.
oh. 10 out of 10? 100?
Yes. 10 over 10 out of 100. A 1 out of 100.
Oh, oh, that I made it worse. No.
Yes, you did. This is me showing you how wrong you are.
Yeah, I think for the title alone, it needs to be
Oh my
docked all the
gosh, buddy.
points.
You put your name on it, so I'll give you the 1 point for that.
We're going to end this week with the words of a true poet. This week coming to us from Matsuo Basho, 17th century poet. This is a haiku translated by William George Aston, and it's called The Cry of the Cicada. The cry of the cicada gives us no sign that presently it will die.
Hmm.
I didn't know exactly what to go with. I think this one is open enough for interpretation.
Yeah, I think it's a healthy way of looking at life and death rather than the fetishization of death.
It's more contemplative
Yeah,
and not in
contemplative.
contemplative. Thank you. It's more
Gosh, I am the worst.
no, but that is extremely important in this context because someone contemplates suicide. Someone is
Ah,
contemplative about subjects. So,
thank you. Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah. So that's a big improvement on that pronunciation. Um, okay, this has been my bad poetry.
Go write some of your own bad poetry.
How many times am I going to make you say that?
A lot.
A
Go write
lot.
some of your own bad poetry. Now go write some of your own bad poetry. Now go write some of your own bad poetry.
Do you know I have a recording of you doing that almost those exact three?
I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
I I am not a creative person, Aaron.
Rhyme free doesn't matter to me.